Namaste everyone. Welcome to this results announcement of the results for the IKS divisions programs. And as with any this thing that we start at any program that we start at IKS division, we'll start off with a Swasti Vachanam.
श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ कनिक्रदज्जनुषं प्रब्रुवाण इयर्तिवाचमरिते वनावम् सुमङ्गलश्च शकुने भवासि मात्वा काचिदभिभाविष्या वितत मात्वाश्येन उद्वधीन्मासु पर्णो मात्वा विदधिषु मान् वीरो अस्ता पित्र्यामनुप्रदिशङ्कनिक्रदत्सु मङ्गलो भद्रवादी वदेह अवक्रन्ददक्षिणतो गृहाणां सुमङ्गलो भद्रवादी शकुन्ते मानस्तेन ईशतमाघशं सो बृहद्वदेम विदथे सुवीराः सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Welcome back again, and we'll get started off just in a second. Oh. Wonderful. So, welcome to this announcement of the results for Bharatiya Jnana Samvardhana Yojana and Bharatiya Jnana Samposhan Kendram Type 1. So, these are the results that we are going to announce today. Next slide, please. And there are few upcoming, before we get into the results themselves, there are few upcoming announcements which we would like to make from the IKS division. So today we'll be announcing the results for the Bharatiya Jnana Samposhna Kendram Type 1, which are the research-based IKS centers, and then Bharatiya Jnana Samvardhana Yojana, which is essentially the research outcome-based research proposals back. And the results for the Bharatiya Jnana Samposha Kendram Type 2, which are known as Bhasha Kendras, will be announced very soon. We are still doing some background work on those, and once we get the review process completed, there are some unforeseen difficulties there. Once we get that completed, within the next 1 week or so, we'll announce those results also. And we are very, very happy to announce outcome-based proposal writing workshops from the IKS division. We'll be conducting 6 such workshops throughout the country in the month of January. So please be on the lookout for the announcements from our website, and also from our email that we will be sending out. And additionally, another happy news for those of you who might have missed the applying into the first round or could not be successful in the first round. There will be a second round of research and IKS centers proposals which will be coming, and we are hoping to make that announcement in December, and the proposals will be due at the end of January, and again, just like everything else, within a month, by end of February, we'll be announcing the results of that competition as well. So if you notice, the outcome-based proposal writing workshops which will be held in January are going to be during the time when the proposals are basically you can work on those proposals by coming to these workshops, and we'll announce the details of these workshops in different places as we go further. And there was a need from the community. We got a lot of feedback from a lot of you saying that the IKS proposals are inherently challenging because there's multidisciplinary, and then trying to bridge that gap between the traditional and modern disciplines is somewhat challenging. And you said there could be some guided proposal workshops for that. That will be very beneficial. So we have basically bowed to that feedback, and then what we have done is we have come up with these plans for these 6 workshops which we'll be conducting in January. Next slide, please. Now we'll get into the results. We'll start off with the most eagerly anticipated program, I think, of the IKS Center Proposal Program, which we call as Bharatiya Jnana Samposhana Kendram Type 1. Next slide, please. So the centers, as you know, are designed to encourage and fund the establishment of these IKS centers. This program is in the domain of IKS knowledge, and the proposals were submitted by many of you on 30th, all of you rather, on 30th of October. There were no delayed basically applications that were accepted. Everything was as per the deadline, and we had promised you that we'll announce the awards or the selections by end of November. So here we are on 30th of November. We are going to make those announcements, and we hope will be please watch out for some emails from us in next 2-3 days, where we'll be asking you for some documentation. So our request is that please be prompt in those documentation, so that we can actually make the funding available to you by middle of December. And that all depends on how fast you respond to us. So that is in your hands when the funding can become available. And so we request you again sincerely that you please take a look at the emails that we are going to send tonight or tomorrow. And progress reports will be due 6 months later in July. And then 6 months later, there will be a yearly peer review in December 2023. And then there will be another progress report due in July of 2024. And then final report will be due on December 31st of 2024. So that these are all 2-year projects, and we'll get started. Next slide, please. So what were we basically expecting? All of these centers are ones which will have interdisciplinary research in 2 to 4 thematic areas. Remember those 20 thematic areas that we had given you, and it was there in the proposal document. So all these centers focus on 2 to 4 thematic areas. They also focus on educational mentoring and then outreach and dissemination. So that essentially are the 3 pillars of the IKS division, IKS centers. Next slide, please. And these were the review criteria. You're all familiar with these review criteria. These are exactly the same review criteria that we had given you in the proposal document. And these were exactly the same criteria that the review panels in phase 1 and phase 2 used to judge the proposals. And then the proposals that went into phase 3 were selected based on, again, the PI presentation and and the proposal performance in that panel. So these were the criteria that we used to screen a lot of proposals to phase 3. Next slide, please. So this was the entire review process. So proposals, we received about 180 proposals. And after the phase 1 and phase 2, the panels did a very, very rigorous review. And then they basically invited 28 proposals, PIs of 28 proposals for panel presentation in phase 3. Out of the 28 proposals, there was an extremely rigorous review again done. And what we are going to announce today is 12 proposals that were selected. So as you can see, the funding rate is close to 7.5% or so. That's essentially the funding rate, which and pretty strong proposals were received. And there was a very, very rigorous review. And as you can see, the selection process was pretty strict in that sense, because the only metric that we set was that we want to really go by the quality of the proposals, not the quantity. So the review panel really focused on that part, and then really looked for good proposals, and then they have selected about 12 outstanding proposals out of the 180. Next one, please. So here is what you are all looking for. These are the 12 proposals that we have selected for centers. The first one is IKS cell in IIT Gandhinagar, led by Professor V.N. Prabhakar. Second one is from NIT Calicut, Kerala, Dr. Anjana Bhagyanathan. And then third one is IIT Mandi by Dr. Varun Dutt. Fourth one is in IIT Tirupati, Professor KSMS Raghavarao Garu. And fifth one is in School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, by led by Dr. Kshama Utnambekar ji. And sixth one is from Apex Professional University from Pasighat, Arunachal Pradesh. Dr. Preeti Solanki ji is going to be the PI for that proposal. And seventh one is a unique one. Given the importance of the NEP 2020 and all, the NCRT, we are establishing a IKS center in NCRT in New Delhi, that will be led by Professor Jyotsna Tiwari ji. And we have another center coming up in Tejpur University in Assam, led by Dr. Rupam Goswami ji. And HVP Mandal, Amravati, Maharashtra, which is one of the unique centers of IKS. This will be the second such center, which will be focusing on Bharatiya Khel, Indian basically sports. And this will be led by Dr. Madhuri Shrikant Chendke ji. And Indian mathematics, as you know, is a has a lot of contribution from the Jain school of mathematics. So there is a very huge contribution from Jain philosophers and Jain mathematicians. So we are going to establish a center of IKS Center on Jain mathematics in Devi Ahalya University, Indore, Madhya Pradesh. This will be led by Professor Anup Jain ji. Then we are going to establish another IKS center in Dharwad, Karnataka. This will be led by Rajeshwar Shastri Joshi ji. And finally, we are going to establish a center in Institute for Science and Spirituality in New Delhi. This will be led by Dr. Jyotiranjan Biora ji. These are the 12 centers that we are announcing in this round. And again, as I was saying earlier, the selection process was pretty intense. And we are going to announce, so if your proposal was there in phase 2 or phase 3, we have already sent the comments to all of the PIs there who were selected in phase 2 and phase 3. Please don't lose heart. There is going to be another round coming up pretty soon, and may the best ones win. And with those things, we'll move on to the next one, and we'll be posting the list of these 12 centers online on our website pretty soon. So again, IIT Gandhinagar, NIT Calicut, IIT Mandi, IIT Tirupati, School of Planning and Architecture Bhopal, Apex Professional University Pasighat, NCRT Delhi, Tejpur University Assam, HPP Mandal, DCPE Amravati, Devi Ahalya University Indore, Srimad Jagadguru Shankaracharya Sanskrit Pathshala Dharwad, Institute for Science and Spirituality. These are the 12 new IKS centers. With these 12 new IKS centers, we'll be having 25 IKS centers that have been established by IKS division this year. More to come in the next few months. Next slide, please. Now we'll move on to the Bharatiya Samvardhan Yojana, which is a outcome-based research proposal program focused on individual researchers. Next slide, please. Where we are really focusing on encouraging original, serious, and deep scholarly research in the Indian knowledge systems so that we can rejuvenate IKS research. We had basically received all the proposals by 30th of October, same as the previous IKS Center deadline, and we had promised you at that time that we'll announce the results by end of November. Again, we are sticking to our deadline. If we held you to the deadlines, we are also holding ourselves to the same kind of standards with meeting the deadlines. So again, please watch out for the emails from us, because there will be some bank information that will be required, and in next 2 days or 3 days, please do submit that as soon as possible so that we can release the funding for everybody by middle of December. So any one who is delaying it, delays not just for themselves but for the entire batch of these proposals. So please do be mindful of that, and please we request you to please take that forward as soon as possible. Next slide, please. So as you know, we had the solicited proposals in these 9 areas, focus areas: mathematics, astronomy, metallurgy, chemical science, health, wellness, consciousness studies, political economic thought, sustainable agriculture, water management and water resource management for water resources, architectural engineering, Vastu and Shilpa Shastra, and new universal sociological models based on ethnic perspective. We have received a tremendous response to all of these processes. Next slide, please. These are the same review criteria again, just following the same template. These were the same review criteria that you had seen in your proposal document. And then we had also requested you to structure the proposal as per these review criteria so that it was easier for reviewers to review that. And next slide, please. These were again, we received a tremendous response. We got close to 450 proposals. And after the phase 1 and phase 2, there were about 78 proposals. There were 78 proposals invited for phase 3 panel presentation. Of that, finally, what we have selected is 28 proposals that have been selected for funding in this round. And with that, previously we have funded about 36 proposals. Both of these two make about 64 proposals that will be funding. We have funded this year. Again, there will be another round of funding that will be proposal that will be coming up. Solicitation that will be coming up in very near future in the month of December. Next slide, please. So to give you an idea of what the breakup is and what we have funded, so those are the 9 different areas. And so what that says is, if you look into the mathematics and astronomy, there is a number that says 34, 10, 4, and 3. What that means is we received 34 proposals, and out of them, 10 proposals were shortlisted for phase 2. Then they went out of the 10 proposals from phase 2, 4 were selected for phase 3. Of the 4 that were where the PIs presented the presentations to the phase 3 panel, 3 were finally selected. So what number that you see there is the finally selected number, and the first number that you see, the 34, means that that was the number of proposals that we received. So you can see that in mathematics and astronomy, we received about 34 proposals and we selected 3. So a success ratio of about 10%. Metallurgy and material science and technology, 31 and 2. Chemical science and technology, 30 to 3. Health, wellness, and consciousness studies, we received the largest number of proposals, 155. And finally, what was selected was 6 proposals. And political and economic thought and economics and foreign policy, we received 38 proposals. We funded 6 proposals out of that. And sustainable agriculture, there were 54 proposals that were basically received. 4 were selected for phase 2. 4, all of them were forwarded to phase 3, but none of them were selected for any basically funding. For the management of water resources, 21 proposals were received and 1 was funded. And in architectural engineering, Vastu and Shilpa Shastra, 23 proposals were received and 4 were funded finally. And in the new universal sociological models, 47 proposals were received and 3 have been funded. The total of 28 proposals in this total. Next one, please. So going into the architectural engineering and Shilpa Shastra, we have 4 proposals that were funded. So the first one is by Dr. T.V. Bharat from IIT Guwahati, looking into the ancient soil classification system. Then Dr. Naveen Sharma from Tejpur University, looking at the structural heritage of Hom Dynasty buildings and then how we can conserve them and doing that. And Dr. Vaibhav Singhal from IIT Patna, a proposal on looking at the composition of brick and mortar used in the masonry of Nalanda and Mahavira sites has been selected for funding in the architectural engineering, Vastu and Shilpa Shastra. Dr. Mahendra Sethi from Indian Society for Applied Research and Development, proposal for synthesizing Vastu Vidya, Stapatya Vidya, environmental planning, and indigenous construction techniques in Lakhamandal and Mahasu temple complex in Dehradun complex has been selected. Lakhamandal, by the way, is where traditionally the Laksha Griha of Mahabharata is supposed to be located. So they are going to look into that. So very interesting projects there. And then coming into the chemical science and technology, there were 3 proposals that were selected. Dr. Pramod Gangan Male ji from Karambir Bhaurao Patil College, Urun Islampur, Maharashtra. They are going to work on restoration of Lonari salt. Lonari salt is a very specific type of a salt, like Saindhava Lavana. There are 8 types of salts mentioned in Charaka Samhita. This is something that is getting lost and not there is not many practitioners who actually can mine this a lot. So they are going to work on that aspect of that. Then Dr. G. Ramakrishnan ji from Department of Fashion Technology, Kumar Guru College of Technology, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, will be working on development and application of natural dyes for reviving handloom and improving human wellness. Because as you might know, the dyeing artificial dyes and then the mordants that are used are causes for some of the most toxic pollution in the river bodies and all that, especially in Tamil Nadu area, where Tirupur area, where we have one of the largest concentration of textile industries. And then Dr. Siddharth Sirohi ji from Bhaskaracharya College of Applied Sciences, University of Delhi, will be working on development of eco-friendly and sustainable natural dyes from plant extracts. So these are the 3 proposals we are funding in the chemical science and technology. Next slide, please. And in the health, wellness, and consciousness studies area, Dr. Prakash Shankaran from Shastra University is going to look at the impact of sattvic food and combines gut microbiome diversity with Ayurgenomics. And really looking at, we all know that in recent years, there is a gut mind axis that has been coming up in research. So they will be interestingly looking into that and how the diet habits and food habits of different people influences the microbiome diversity and hence other aspects as well. Dr. M. Ravishankar from Mechanical Engineering, IIT Tirupati, will be looking into valuation of various traditional blood purification, Raktamokshana medicines, using 3D bioprinted microfluidic organ-on-chip platforms. These are the kind of proposals when we talk about integrating the traditional knowledge with the most modern technology. You can see the microfluidics there, you can see Raktamokshana medicines, all of that being evaluated using some modern technologies. So these are kind of the exemplars that we hold. And Dr. Manjunath from IIIT Harvard will be working on development of a mobile application for detecting tridoshas and personality traits from voice. And Dr. Amitasha Ojha from IIT Jammu, Humanities and Social Science Department there, will be looking into the Brahmari Pranayama and the Shloka on the attention and well-being of students. And Dr. Maniraj Kumarji from PSNA College of Engineering and Technology, Dindigal, Tamil Nadu, will be looking into the development and enhancement of Siddha diagnostic uroscopy, Nikuri, using dynamic image processing. Nikuri is a technique that the traditional Siddha practitioners use, which he wants to enhance and also develop it further using dynamic image processing. And Dr. Venkata Radheshyamji from Sri Venkateshwara Vedic University, Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh, will be working on prana-based Vedic solutions for minimizing suicidal ideation. We know that the depression and the mental health issues among the youth are some of the most critical things these days, and suicide prevention can be best when it is stopped at the ideation level itself. So Dr. Venkata Radheshyamji will be looking into this from a prana-based solution coming from the some of the Vedic parampara, and so that and looking at the impact of that on minimizing the suicidal tendencies. As you can see, all of these cover range of topics from health, wellness, consciousness, all of that, and this is the kind of exemplary projects that we hold when we talk about blending the modern with the Indian knowledge systems to solve the solution, solve the problems, societal problems of tomorrow. Next slide, please. Then in the water management of water resources, Dr. Deepika Shetty from Manipal School of Architecture and Planning, MIT campus, Udupi, Karnataka, will be looking into heritage towns, water management planning of Udupi heritage towns like Barkuru and Mudabidri and their surrounding regions, where there is a lot of Jain architecture, if Professor Madhukeshwar Bhattji is, as he was telling me. So there is something. So this is something that we'll be looking into there through this project. And then in the mathematics and astronomy, there were 3 proposals that were selected. Dr. M.B. Rajani ji from NIAS, Bengaluru, looking at the orientation of temples and then astronomical association. We have all heard about how the Egyptian pyramids are associated with the belt of the Orion and all those things, and how many temples we know that the sunlight falls on the Devata Murti there on a particular day, Uttarayana, Dakshinayana, or things like that. But Dr. Rajniji will be looking into that for a lot of the temples in the South India in a very rigorous manner. Dr. K. Mahesh from IIT Kharagpur will be looking into the nuanced mathematical and astronomical constructs that are there in classical commentary. So this is a study that goes into the depths of some of the texts like Aryabhatiya and some of the Kerala School of Mathematics to look into the nuances of the mathematical constructs that are there and to bring them out. And Dr. Aditya Maheshwari from IIM Indore will combine Nyaya Shastra, Nyaya Darshana with mathematics so that you can understand how the approaches of Nyaya Darshana can be used to study the mathematics. There is a lot of study that is done in this area, but what Dr. Aditya Maheshwari is bringing to the perspective is a very unique perspective to this blending. And then in the metallurgy and material science and technology, we say in IKS division that भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा exists in भारतीय भाषा. भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा भारतीय भाषाओं में होता है. तो हम बोलते हैं कि हमारे डिवीजन में, IKS डिवीजन में आप प्रपोजल्स कोई भी भारतीय भाषा में भेज सकते हैं. तो ये हम और आपको बताते हैं, आश्वस्त करते हैं कि हम उन प्रपोजल्स को उसी लेवल पर देखेंगे जैसे कोई इंग्लिश में आता है या कोई भी भाषा का भेदभाव नहीं होता है. उसी का एक एग्जाम्पल है ये. डॉक्टर मनीष कुमार जी जो जवाहरलाल नेहरू यूनिवर्सिटी से हैं, वो उत्तर भारत में लोहे पर धातु कर्म कार्यों की पहचान और वर्तमान में पारंपरिक तरीकों से ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में उपयोगिता. So Dr. Manish Kumar from Jawaharlal Nehru University will be looking into the metallurgical traditions and how we can actually identify them from the traditional practices that are still followed in the village areas, and then how we can be utilized in those areas. From Banaras Hindu University, Dr. Sachin Kumar Tiwari ji will be looking into the ancient knowledge system of hematite materials, which are used in the rock art. So as you know, rock art, I mean, they used to use different pigments to make these rock arts. They used to use charcoal, different types of plant extracts to make those colors and then paint on the walls of caves. So Dr. Sachin Kumar Tiwari ji will be looking into specifically the hematitic materials in Kaimur range. Next slide, please. Then coming into the political and economic thought, economics and foreign policy, we are going to fund about 6 proposals in this. Again, from a range of ideas here, Dr. Vinayak Rajat Bhatt from Chanakya University will be looking into political concepts in Ramayana, Mahabharata and Arthashastra, looking specifically at the concept of sovereignty, kingship, welfare, market, diplomacy, and war. How we can take those and apply into the current context. And then Dr. Ashwin Desai, again from Chanakya University, will be looking into obstacles or upadhis, as we call them, in reading and interpreting Indian texts, alternative possibilities, and how we can actually understand that. Dr. Paromita Roy from Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Educational and Research Institute will be looking into the relevance and applicability of Chanakya's Arthashastra for solving current societal problems. Dr. Nigama from Shastra University again will be looking into the investigating the role of household savings and how this is influenced by the Indian practices, and how that is, many economists have pointed out that the Indian household practice a very traditional model of economics and towards their attitudes towards household savings, how they invest, are all very, very much grounded in traditions. And that sometimes is said to be the bedrock for a resilient Indian economy. So Dr. Nigama is going to study those aspects of it. And then Dr. Reinhard Philipp from Central University of Kerala is going to look at the international aspect of foreign policies. He will be looking into how the Chola dynasty conducted international relationships, because especially this is a very, very relevant kind of a topic in this year, because as you know, India has taken up the presidency of the G20 countries. And so Dr. Philip will be looking into how did the Chola dynasty approach and the diplomatic relationship with China, East Asian countries, Sri Lanka, and how can we use that in the current scenario? How can we approach that? And then Dr. Deepak Gupta from Indira Gandhi University, Mirpur, Rewari in Haryana, will be looking into the corporate social responsibility, which we all talk about and is kind of embedded in the Indian law right now, and the philosophical and social engineering approaches from a ancient Indian perspective. So he will be looking into that. And these are the 6 proposals that we are funding in this area of political and economic thought, economics, and foreign policy. Next slide, please. And finally, coming into the new universal sociological models, Dr. Shankar Rajaraman from Jain University, Bengaluru, will be looking on a trait-based model of leadership. So what are the leadership traits of an effective leader? And he will be looking at it into the Raja Bhoja's aesthetic theory of Nayakas, and how a Nayaka is presented in the aesthetic theory by Bhoja, and then looking at that, we will try to derive these traits and then use that for applying into the current this thing. And Dr. Ashish Pandey from IIT Bombay will be looking into entrepreneurship, intention, and behavior. So how the theoretical and empirical studies on the Trigunas, Trishaktis, and the 5 factors of action can basically result in actual entrepreneurship intention, and how that intention is actually converted into action and behavior, sustained behavior. So that, and all of that based on a Bharatiya perspective of concept of Trigunas, Trishaktis, and 5 factors. There are many studies that people have done on what makes somebody an entrepreneur from a very Western perspective. But what Dr. Ashish Pandeyji will be looking at is a very Bharatiya perspective. And that is what we mean by the EMIC perspective in that research area. Dr. Naveen Hola from Central Sanskrit University, Sringeri, will be looking into applying the methodological thinking, looking not simply of the Shad Darshanas to modern basic science curriculum. How the methodologies, the Tantra Yuktis, as we call them, how that have been applied in the Shad Darshanas, and how that can be applied to in the modern science curriculum. The Tantra Yuktis, or the methodological thinking, really forms the basis of what we call as the hypothesis formation, which is the fundamental aspect of doing any science. And what Dr. Hollaji will be looking at is how these methods, there are about 33 methods or so described in various texts of Bharatiya Jnana Parampara, and he will be looking at that, and then particular focus on the Shad Darshanas, and then how we can bring that into the basic science curriculum in the modern era. So these are the proposals, that 28 proposals in all these areas. Next slide, please. And so very big congratulations to all of those who have been funded. So we really applaud you. And thank you so much for participating to everybody who has really done this. And also, we cannot announce the names of the reviewers. We keep that a confidential thing. But none of this thing would have been possible without the reviewers who have done a very, very rigorous job. We are very tough about it. We give hard deadlines, and I mean, so we are very grateful to you, all the reviewers, for doing that thing and doing a great review of all these proposals and then selecting the very best out of so many proposals. And to those of you who were not successful this time, don't lose heart. Again, we are coming up with 6 workshops specifically designed to improve and enhance the proposal writing in this particular area of IKS. So these are not general proposal writing workshops. These are proposal writing workshop specifically focused on what the IKS division needs and how do you make a interdisciplinary proposal and things like that. So we'll be announcing those very soon. Also, second round of research and IKS Centers proposals is also going to come very soon in December, and these proposals will be due by the end of January, and will hopefully again announce the results by end of February going forward. So, and again, those of you who have applied for Bharatiya Jnana Samposhan Kendram Type 2, the Bhasha Kendras, please watch out. Within next 7 to 10 days, we'll be announcing the results of those as well. And with that, next slide, please. Thank you so much for staying with us and submitting proposals and engaging with Indian Knowledge Systems Division. There are many, many events that we are doing, very many ways in which we participate, and we are coming to all corners of the country. And now I'm very happy to introduce Professor Madhukeshwar Bhattji, who is taking care of the IKS centers and research proposals for now, and Shri Somnath Danayakji, who is taking care of our school education initiative, and of course Dr. Shri Anurag Deshpandeji and Shri Acharya Shreyas Kurekarji, the main workhorses of the IKS division, and grateful to you all. And few more people are missing. Dr. Anuradha Chaudharyji, she is on the field working, and a lot of our staff are working in the offices. These are the people who actually work, and so we are grateful that you're all engaging with us, and look forward to you with interacting with you and to take this IKS knowledge, Indian knowledge systems forward, rejuvenate that in our country in the very near future. So we'll all work on that together. Namaste, everyone. Dhanyawadaha. And we'll finish it with a Shanti Mantra.
ॐ संसमिद्युवसे वृषन्यग्ने विश्वान्यर्या इळस्पदे समिध्यसे सनो वसून्याभरा सङ्गच्छध्वंसं वदध्वंसं वो मनांसि जानताम् देवा भागं यथा पूर्वे सञ्जानाना उपासते समानो मन्त्रः समितिः समानी समानं मनः सह चित्तमेषाम् समानं मन्त्रमभिमन्त्रयेव समानेन वो हविषा जुहोमि समानी व आकूतिः समाना हृदयानि वः समानमस्तु वो मनो यथा वः सति शान्ता पृथिवी शिवमन्तरिक्षं द्यौर्नो देव्यभयन्नो अस्तु शिवादिशः प्रदिश उद्दिशो न आपो विद्युतः परिपान्तु सर्वतः शान्तिः 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 हरिः ओम्।